Hello, ladies. Welcome back to the Dear Single Women's podcast. I'm your host, Shanintra, and I thank you for being here. The Dear Single Women's podcast is a podcast for single women who are healing, growing, living, and loving their lives on their terms. Thank you to all those who have followed the podcast, who have rated the podcast, who have subscribed to the YouTube channel, Shanintra Says. Please take a second. For those who have not, please follow the podcast. The numbers help me greatly. Please take a second to rate the podcast 5 stars so that other women can see this podcast in their search. Shout out to those on Apple Podcasts. Thank you for the great numbers. But I noticed that 48% of you who are listening to this right now are not following the podcast. So please take a second and go ahead and follow. Thank you for all of the support. There are some good things, some new things coming in 2025. And so I promise you will want to be tapped in, connected, so that you can see everything that's coming. I'm so excited for what's to come. I got to make my little commercial / ad / whatever you want to call it so that I can promote that and get ready for January of 2025. I'm so excited for what's to come. So, thank you for being here. Tell a friend. All right, ladies. So let's get into today's episode. I had a great day. I took the day off, and so that was wonderful. I was thinking about taking a day off for many days, and I just never did it. And I listened to something where the woman, Alicia Renice, her name is Alicia Renice. If I can, I'll link to the video I was watching, but if not, I'll definitely link to it in the future. She was talking about the secret to a joyful life, and that's the wave I'm on. As much as I talk relationships, I talk about your well-being as a whole, complete woman. And having joy is very important in this life, especially with how difficult life can be. So she was talking about the secret, this quote-unquote secret to a joyful life is just to give yourself permission. Say yes to more things. And that episode was like perfect confirmation for something that I experienced a few days ago. And it was the podcast episode popped into my head, and that was just confirmation. She talked about giving yourself permission to have 10 out of 10 days, 10 out of 10, a 10 out of 10 life. That if something makes you happy, if something brings you joy, do it. So for her, it was walking in nature and roller skating. And for me, that was taking time to rest and spending time getting some things that I really needed in the house. I was buying out a lot because I didn't get to go grocery shopping, and it's hard to do during the week. And then on the weekend, it's hard to do as well. You really only get that one day of rest. And I wanted to spend it resting. So I took today to catch up on some important things, and that brought me joy. But my episode is in line with that idea of giving yourself permission. As you can see, I titled this episode, Accept the Dopamine. First of all, what is dopamine? Because it sounds like a drug. So let's talk about that. Dopamine is often called the feel-good hormone because it's associated with feelings of pleasure and motivation. It's released when you do something enjoyable or beneficial, which can make you want to do it again. So it's a chemical messenger and hormone that's released in the brain. And it's associated with good things, good feelings, motivates you. That's what they say when you exercise, right? You get that dopamine hit. And I believe God designed us that way because exercising is not inherently fun, but just feeling that sense of accomplishment your body's like, yeah, this is a good thing. Do more of that. It's associated with reward and pleasure. I had an experience with that this past what was it? The weekend, or yeah, I think it was this past weekend. Ladies, I actually opened up the apps. I actually opened up my Hinge and my Plenty of Fish, and I had to log back in because it no longer recognized me. And I will tell you, I had some pretty decent comments in my Hinge, and I'm going to read some of them to you. I wanted to like make this a whole thing, screenshot, show it to you, etc. But like I said, I was out all day, so this podcast is a few hours behind. But I wanted to make sure I got it in today. So I didn't get to like hook it up and do everything I really wanted to do. So I think I took some screenshots so I could read it to you. All right, this one. It was a picture of me in Jamaica. This guy writes, "The blue ocean behind her, a symbol of peace, a reminder that struggles will one day cease. She stands strong, a symbol of power, a black woman in her finest hour." So unfortunately with Hinge, you have to match with someone in order to reply to them. So I had to match with him to tell him like, thank you. I thought that was cute. And then like he tried to talk to me and I wasn't interested in talking to him. But here's another one. Someone was talking about God and the Bible, and that's really cool because it's just kind of rare to find. And also I have it explicitly on my Hinge that I am a Christian and I'm looking for a believer, and so that was nice. And then there's one here. I said, this is something in my profile. I wrote, I'll fall for you if, that's the prompt. And then I wrote, you could pull off an upscale jazz bar experience. And I put like the emoji with the hearts around it. And this guy wrote back, easy. And he wrote that like 2 months ago. No lie. Like a month ago, but I thought it was cute. So I was like, you look like you could. Nice pics. Like he was actually super attractive, ladies. Super attractive. But a whole baby. This dude's a baby, okay? He was 23 years old. A baby. And that one right there sparked this episode because I was like, you know, when I saw like how he had wrote like, and then I thought it was just kind of cute. Like he was like, oh, that's easy. And he was like really attractive. I just felt myself smiling and I felt like who's this little guy? Who's this young buck? Like, but it was cute and it made me smile. And then almost immediately, I had this kind of like thought come over me. I was going to say a cloud. I guess like a dark cloud. And it was just like, who, you know, you can't take that seriously. You know, you can't take these guys writing to you seriously. First of all, he's a baby. Like, what in the world would you even do with that? What in the world would he even do with you? Like, what would you do with him? Like, he's a baby, okay? I'm 35, lady. So a 23-year-old is like a baby. So it's just like, what? Like those thoughts immediately came into my head. I don't even know if I had written them back at that moment. And it just kind of felt like, I just was like, hold on. No one said it was going anywhere. Like, it's someone writing to you on Hinge. Like, no one said it was going anywhere. No one said that anything was going to happen. You didn't even introduce yourself to the guy. Like, it was just a little cute comment. And it made you smile and made you say, aw, you know, like that, whatever. And all of the guys that wrote to me, it was just like, accept it. Accept the dopamine. Why? Because that did something to me. Like, I could almost feel that feel good hormone. I could feel it. Like they say with dopamine, it's in the brain. And I could feel a chemical messenger and hormone that's released in the brain and plays a role in many bodily functions. It can affect your mood. I could almost feel my mood shift. I could feel like I could feel my body changing. Little subtle things like my head cocked to the side. Aww, that kind of thing. Like, those are signs that there was a shift there, that you got a little shot of dopamine at that moment. And what's unfortunate is my brain immediately wanted to shut it down. Because, oh, you can't get excited. You know it's not real. You know it don't mean nothing. You know you can't this and that or whatever. And I just realized, like, but what's the harm in just thinking that was cute? What's the harm in just accepting it? Do you have to take your dating life that serious where you can't even enjoy a moment, a guy saying something cute to you over Hinge? Like, yeah, we know it's not gonna probably lead to anything. Yeah, we know it's not serious, but you can't accept the good feeling in that moment. You can't just enjoy it in that moment. Yes, we can. And I just wanted to encourage you to accept the dopamine. When you have good moments that come, whether it be on a dating app, someone smiles at you and holds the door, someone says, how you doing, ma'am? Maybe gives you a lingering look or whatever, accept the dopamine, accept the good feeling that comes from that. No, it doesn't have to mean anything. Maybe it's not going to go anywhere. Maybe it will. But I think that a lot of time, single women, maybe, I don't know, is it just me? You guys gotta talk to me and let me know. But I take this very seriously, right? I have a whole podcast about it. It's a very important part of my life. I journal about my, status as a single woman or just being a woman and an adult and the things I want in my life all the time. I talk to God about it even more, literally every single day. I talk to God about this area of my life. I take it very, very, very seriously. Not to mention, hey, I'm precious cargo, and so are you, right? I always liken single women to diamonds. If you're a good single woman, you're a diamond, okay? And people can't just walk into a reputable jeweler and just touch all over the diamonds. If you even are able to get it out the case, you have to put gloves on. Like, you cannot just touch all over. You cannot treat it cavalierly. And that's the same way we are as single women, as women. So I don't believe in just spreading your value and how precious you are out to every single dude that want to come your way. But if you're like me and you really take this thing seriously, because, hey, let's not kid ourselves, men will impact your life. Okay? Women, I think more women need to recognize that. Men will change your life. Meeting a man and going through an experience with a man will change your life. And so you got to be careful. You cannot just give yourself to anybody. You cannot just get in any old thing. And I've kind of done that. Thankfully, I walked out of it without any permanent attachments, right? No children, no I guess, I don't know if I believe in soul ties, but like that took a while to break. But thankfully, I'm like 90% over it. So I've walked away without permanent life altering changes. But let's be real, a lot of women are not that lucky. And so we have to be very careful with how we allow ourselves to engage, how we engage with men, who we allow into our space. We got to be very careful with that. But I think if you're like me, you probably fall into the other ditch of being way too hard, way too on guard. Is there such a thing? Maybe being on guard when it's not called for? Can I say it that way? I'm on guard when it doesn't call for it. There is zero risk to cocking my head to the side and smiling at some messages that dudes wrote in my inbox on Hinge. There is zero. By the way, the men on Hinge have more swag than the men on Plenty of Fish. I don't know what's up with that. The men on Plenty of Fish would be like, hey, chocolate queen. And the guys on Hinge, like, they actually have a little bit more. So, I don't know. Go on Hinge. I can't recommend online dating, but if you just want to get a little dopamine hit, right? You want to just smile a little bit, go on Hinge. I don't know. But yeah, there's zero risk to my well-being. And by well-being, I mean emotional. My emotional well-being. There's zero risk to my status as a healing, growing, living and loving woman. There's zero risk to me to smile and think that something some guy said was cute. In that moment, I was safe. But I was on guard, ready to do battle, as though something was wrong. And I had to physically release. I had to remind myself that I was okay in that moment. I had to go from the smile and the head cocked to the side to feeling like I was doing something wrong to physically like talking out loud to myself, letting myself know that I didn't do anything wrong and there's nothing wrong here and I am safe. And that's a process that I had to take myself through. And now that I'm aware of it, that's a process that I will do more often. Until that part of me that feels like I have to be on guard because men play games and men are dangerous. Bad men are dangerous to my heart, to my mind, to my emotions, to the way I view myself. See, dealing with a bad man will do that to you. A lot of things don't feel safe, or you have to question if it's safe. And that's in an effort to protect yourself. You don't want to be hurt again. You don't want to go down that road again. You want to show that you've learned from your past experiences that have been hurtful and have required a lot of healing to move past. And I commend you for that, for being your first line of defense for your heart. But when it's not called for, it's not called for. Accept that dopamine hit. And that could be anything. That can be a cute little message on a dating app. That could be you doing something positive for yourself, like taking the day off. I struggled with a little guilt there. And that's a step backwards because I really grew from like feeling like I owed people me when I didn't want to give me. But I took a step back this past year because that came up, a little guilt. Should I do this? Am I doing the right thing? And I had to remove that so that I could just feel good about having my time to myself. And that was a dopamine hit for me. So I want to encourage you. Accept the dopamine hit where you find it. This episode was particularly about relationships, but wherever you find it. But particularly with men, you safe. You know you ain't gonna let nothing happen to you. You've grown, you've healed. You're good. And if you make a mistake and fall back and end up with a dude that's not good for you, you're still gonna be good. Because you can always heal and come back. Even if you end up with a kid, okay? Worst case scenario, you safe. You're good. You're gonna be okay. Allow yourself to smile, be happy, have joy. Get that dopamine that you need. It does something good for your mood. And there's nothing wrong with it, accepting the good, pure, feel-good hormones as they come. You're going to be okay. I love you. Thank you for listening in, ladies. And I will see you on the next episode of the Dear Single Women's Podcast. Stay tuned. Some good stuff coming for 2025. I'm so excited.